Welcome. This is our first live. Today we're going to be talking about the best system to learn to code. And just a warning, it may go too fast, okay? So I need your attention here. This is the second time I'm recording this. We had some technical difficulties while recording this, so hopefully you're able to catch up right now. Today we're going to be talking about part of my Coding in 21 Days program. This program allows you to have all the tools to start coding by yourself, on your own, being a self-sufficient coder, starting being independent, okay? So this is how these lives are gonna work. I'm gonna leave this on YouTube for an entire week, and then I'm gonna remove them from YouTube. I'm gonna delete them. Nobody's gonna have access to this live here forever after a week. And I'm gonna move this recording into my community. And this is called the Coding 21 Days community. And the link is below in the description. I just wanna show you a sneak peek of this community here real quick. So here you can interact with the other community members. We have a classroom where you can actually watch the Coding 21 Days program, the course. You can see all the live classes that we have here. You can watch this specific masterclass that I did called How to Break into Tech. And there's everything in this community. It's awesome. My goal in this community is for you to become a self-sufficient coder. You start becoming a confident coder, okay? And you can start building projects. And you're gonna use this community to build your projects. So we're just beginning here, understand. So right now, if you go to the community landing page, you're gonna see a special price. We're gonna change that price as soon as we reach a certain level of people, because there's a lot of effort that I put to help you create your projects. I review all of your projects. I post a video with my comments on it. So it's not something that's kind of easy and I just post a message. There's a lot of work here, so I need to make sure that I'm available for you guys, okay? So without further ado, let's start. So today, it's gonna be very quick. I'm gonna be skipping over some slides here because I want you to understand something. You know that coding is hard. You know that there's a lot of information online and it's very overwhelming and you get frustrated easily with too much information, and you do not know how to get the basics. So it's very hard to go from point A to point B because there's no path. Like everybody that you go like online, if it's a free resource and you start following those paths, like maybe it may be a free online course and you just, in the end, you know that you memorized a few words, but you do not know what to do with that. You still cannot create an application on your own. That's a problem. And then there's people who ask you for a modest amount of $15,000 so that you can join their boot camp, and they promise you that in 6 weeks you're gonna learn everything you gotta know about programming. Guess what? That's a lie. I am totally against that, and we in this program, we are totally against that. You gotta do it the right way. The only way that you can do it is if you learn the actual programming concepts, okay? However, there is hundreds of programming concepts. You cannot learn them all in 21 days. So, Leo, are you drinking your own Kool-Aid? Yes, I am. I'm preaching I'm practicing what I'm preaching. That's the right way to say it. So when I say you can learn to code in 21 days, I'm not equating myself to those boot camps. What I'm telling you is that there is a way that you can advance in your coding journey, and you can learn the very essential of everything that you must learn so that you can start coding and you won't get frustrated. Because that's the problem. You start coding from like right now, and suddenly you hit a wall and you do not know even what's the question to ask. You do not know how to go on YouTube or Google and type in the right question because you do not have the right amount of information. That's why I'm here for. I'm here to make sure that you can go from zero if you are an absolute beginner, or if you already know how to code, how to collect yourself and learn the important pieces and important concepts that you must learn. And then you can start learning on your own. You know how to type that question on YouTube. You know how to learn a technology from scratch. Even though you're just given a name, like, hey, you need to create this application using technology XYZ, you know where to start. That's my goal, okay? That's what I'm here to teach you. First, I gotta talk about the coding stages. So first, there is a foundation stage. In this foundation stage, where almost everybody is, all the absolute beginners are, you need to learn the 7 core concepts. These core concepts are universal to any programming language. After you learn this, you're gonna be able to transpose these concepts to any programming language that you want. So that's amazing, that's great. How do you do that? There is a method that I'm gonna explain, which is the core, it's the heart of the Coding 21 Days program that allows you to learn these core concepts. And as you move to the next stage, the expansion stage, where you start creating actual programs, like you start creating something that's useful, because in the foundation stage, let's be honest, you cannot create something that is useful. It just works for you so that you can learn, okay? Nobody can use what you do. You can impress, I don't know, your wife, your husband, I don't know, your mother, but you're not gonna sell this, you're not gonna advance in your career, work with this. So in the expansion stage, you start creating programs that are actually useful, but still, you're far, far away from understanding how to code on your own, okay? So the real piece here that you must understand is that for you to reach proficiency, you must understand everything that you know, all the concepts in the foundation and the expansion stage, okay? I'm gonna talk about these concepts in a second, but in the proficiency stage, it's where you are self-sufficient, you are autonomous, you are independent, you can code on your own, and the reason for that is you will have all the tools necessary for you to be able to get by yourself. Like you'll be able to search stuff online. So that's the beauty of the system here. And you do not need to learn with my system to understand that there's such coding stages. Any system or anything, like if you go to college, you're gonna be realizing that very soon you must respect these boundaries. So this is pretty much universal to any person that starts programming, okay? So that's why this is such a great tool, these coding stages. All right, it takes weeks for you to move from the foundation stage to the expansion stage, okay? And that's why I teach it in 21 days. And then you're gonna ask me, but Leo, hey, what if I just have 10 minutes a day? Will I be able to advance? Of course not. You must have a proper amount of time so that you can study everything that I'm gonna assign on a given day. But even though if you're not on my program, you still can make it in weeks if you just have the proper method, the proper approach to these concepts, okay? So it takes weeks for you to go from the very bottom here, the foundation stage, all the way to the expansion stage. However, for you to become proficient, I'm not gonna teach you anything technical, okay? I'm gonna teach you a formula. How do you go about online and you learn the concepts that you need to learn? So you're gonna learn how to learn. That's basically it. It's genius, right? Like nobody's teaching this and I wonder why. So after the proficiency stage, you have the intermediate stage, the professional stage, and you end up doing continuous learning. Like I'm a professional software developer. I've been doing this for 25 years and I am always engaged into learning something new. Otherwise, I would just not be able to show up at work with like everything that I need to do. So in the intermediate stage, like this is where you can start, like if you're a founder, you want to build SaaS solutions, software as a service solutions, this is where you need to be so that you do not need a technical co-founder, for instance. You need to be an intermediate. However, if you are proficient, you know how to direct things, you know who to hire to do some things. And if you want to advance in your career, if you are in the proficiency stage, you can start like looking into the gaps that you have in your job, and then you can just apply your coding knowledge to make sure that those gaps are no longer, like you can solve that problem, okay? This is pretty much how this works. However, you may be asking yourself, how do I move from proficient to intermediate? What do I need to do? Because in the foundation, you need to understand the 7 core concepts. I didn't tell you, but I'm gonna tell you right now. In the expansion, you need to learn something that I call the 4 fundamental programming abstractions. And then in proficiency, what do you need to do? Well, you need to start creating projects. So just learn this. If you are creating projects right now and you're not on the proficiency stage, you're wasting your time. Why? Because you're just exercising concepts that you have no mastery. you have no understanding. You're just repeating. You're like a parrot repeating what someone was saying on a YouTube video. Stop doing that. I'm here to have you stop doing that. This can no longer happen. You must learn the right way, and I'm going to show you in a few minutes, okay? So after you've done this whole thing here, after you reach the proficiency stage, you start doing projects, guess what? You can call yourself intermediate, but that's not before you actually do that for several months, okay? You cannot just kind of, as I was saying, do a boot camp for 6 weeks and expect to be in an intermediate stage. That doesn't happen like that. It's impossible. If someone has done that, that person has some background knowledge on programming, that person knows the person hiring, or that person has such a specific knowledge that kind of hiring that person was actually the very best choice, okay? So that's not normal by any chance or measure. All right. These are the vehicles, like these are everything that you need to understand to move like from one stage to another. And this is the method. This is the system that I'm teaching, and I'm gonna show you exactly this right now. What do you need to do step by step, using the core concepts, using the fundamental programming abstractions, so that you can move up, okay? So that's my job right now. Are you with me? Are you with me? Let's get started, okay? So we will cover today this whole thing here, okay? This is what I call the method wheel, okay? The method wheel. It describes the 4 steps that you must follow to learn any concept. And here I'm talking about 2 types of concepts, okay? The 7 core concepts, let me go back. The 7 core concepts and the 4 fundamental programming abstractions. These are all concepts, okay? I just named them differently so that you can understand what I'm talking about, all right? So on step number 1, learn a core concept, you're gonna be given like a brief introduction to the concept. This is supposed to be very, very brief. I'm not joking, like it's gonna be 3-4 minutes long. This is the equivalent of you going to college and you're gonna be having like 4 or 6 50-minute classes on a concept. I'm gonna condense everything to you in 5 minutes or so. The reason why is I'm giving you the very essential of that core concept. What I'm gonna talk about is a universe. There's like PhD thesis on these concepts. So it would be unrealistic for me to teach you all the aspects of these concepts. However, I extracted the very essential so that you can take that very essential and put that to motion and start learning, okay? So step number 2, you apply my own proprietary framework. I call it Smart Repetition, and it's a set of steps that you do and you learn to code. You learn that concept. There's no way that you do these steps and you do not learn, okay? The reason why is you cannot move ahead if you didn't apply this knowledge in the proper way. Okay, so step number 3 is adapt. So in adapt, you're gonna take everything that you learn on learn a core concept, step number 1, and step number 2, and you're gonna introduce some small variations on the concept that you're learning. You're gonna still use what I call smart repetition. You're gonna still be using this, and this allows you to memorize, to translate your thoughts into code. So think about this, like if you think in a sentence like, I want to draw a circle, how do you translate that thought into an actual computer code? That's what I'm gonna teach you. That's smart repetition. And we apply this on step number 3, adapt, in small incremental changes on the exercises that I'm gonna present to you, okay? Lastly, we do step number 4, mix. What do we do with mix? Remember, it's 7 core concepts. It's 4 fundamental programming abstractions. You can only advance in coding if you start applying all of them at once. However, you learn them step by step, one by one, and then there's a place in your learning journey that you mix them up. This is this place, step number 4. So you start mixing not only the variations of that those exercises, but also those concepts. And that's when you start tying together that high-level concept, that high-level principle into code. There's no memorization required. That's just the proper way to learn, okay? So These are the 7 core concepts. It starts with, it must be learned in this order. It starts with something that I call I/O, stands for input and output, and then it moves to something called variables, which is a way to get values and have the program work out those values. And then it goes on to a whole set of other concepts, okay? If you learn in this very specific order, so if say that you right now, you are trying to learn by using someone's tutorial or some free course online. Take a screenshot of this right now. Do not lose this, okay? And as you approach what you're learning, make sure that it follows this order. Why? Because one thing builds after the other, and then as soon as you understand like control structures, you are understanding the very, very basic of all programming languages. This doesn't even matter like what is the programming language that you're learning. This is universal. So it doesn't, I'm gonna not even mention a programming language here because what I'm teaching you is the principles. It doesn't matter the programming language, okay? So step 1, I divided that in easy to understand groups. So you have level 1 through level 4, and if you learn them together, but since I classified them by affinity, you will start actually understanding better. So this is the best approach, okay? Here now I would be talking about each level. I'm going to skip this for the moment. There is another class that I will dive deeper in this, okay? Just know that there's a lot here. Step number 4 is smart repetition. So this is a research-backed learning method that maximizes what I call memory recall. So Leo, what is memory recall? Memory recall is the ability for you to think and then having that information available for you to do something. Let me give you an example. Do you know how to write the word independently? So maybe you gotta think, okay, how do I put the words together? So that's memory recall. Some other times you're writing your name, like my name is Leo. You don't even think, you just write. You just thought like, put my name and then Leo comes out. This is memory recall, okay? So it can be conscious and it can be unconscious. Like my name is unconscious. Like if I want to write a word, as you notice, I'm not a native English speaker. I need to kind of do that translation in my brain sometimes, which sucks. Like this is supposed to be natural. This is how you become a natural speaker, a fluent speaker. Okay, so that's what I need to work on my English journey. So this is the method that you gotta use to learn these concepts. You gotta understand what it is. You got to listen to an explanation about what you're going to learn. Then you're going to see someone working out that concept, okay? After that, you're going to pretty much copy that code by yourself, and then you're going to make it run. So now in a very short cycle, and this takes just a few minutes, like 2 to 3 minutes, you're going to be able to see everything end to end. And now you keep iterating, you keep iterating, you keep iterating. And this is how you learn. You repeat in a smart way. Why? Because the traditional approach makes you tired and forgetful. The reason why is the person, like, it's very well-intentioned person, by the way, like people like teaching you for free online. Heck, that's very good. I applaud those people. However, they lack the pedagogy, sorry about that, to actually make you learn the best way. So they will introduce a full concept. It's take them minutes, like 40 minutes, and then they will demonstrate that concept using an example. And then they will say, hey, let's just exercise this one aspect of this concept. And then by the time that you're trying to do, like you're trying to understand everything that was taught, you're like, oh man, my brain hurts, okay? So that's not what smart repetition does. With smart repetition, I introduced a device, something that helps you understand this core concept that's in your head and translate that to an actual code. I call this a recall prompt, okay? Memory recall, I give you a recall prompt. Give me an example of a recall prompt, Leo. Okay, display your name on the screen. display your name on the screen. Did I talk about any programming language command here? Did I talk about a programming language? No. I'm talking about something that I like to do with my programming language. So that's where you start learning. So we take that, we take input and output, display your name on the screen, and then we actually show you how to do that. And that's why smart repetition makes you actively engage, because we move that whole process to the very beginning of this loop. So this is the process for smart repetition. And Leo, do I need to sign up for your Coding 21 Days program to learn this? Not at all, man, not at all. You can do this on your own. You can adapt what you're learning on some YouTube video, or I don't know, a friend. You can just ask them to do this with you. There's several ways you can approach this, as long as you respect these steps, okay? So step number one is you gotta understand what is that core concept. Remember, I gave you a list of 7 core concepts in the order you gotta learn them. So you took a screenshot, then you can go back and watch that part. Remember, you only have 7 days before I take this live out. So you learn the core concept, and now I'm gonna give you a recall prompt. So as the same example as I was using, input and output. Input is some information you give to the computer. Output is some information that the computer gives back to you. Like you watching this video right now is a form of output, a very sophisticated form. You typing on your keyboard is a form of input, okay? So when I say display your name on the screen, I'm mixing 2 concepts. Display on the screen is obviously output, but however, how do I input my name? So it's implicitly developed in that concept, okay? You need to create that. So recall prompt is display your name on the screen. So I go in and I type in the code that translates display your name on the screen. I'm not gonna do this right now, but you kind of get what I'm talking about, right? And then you start seeing the results. Okay, what is the result? I see my name be displayed on the screen. Awesome. So my part as the instructor, it's over. What you do is you pause the video and it's your turn. You're gonna type in exactly the same characters that I typed, with exactly in the same spaces and the same indentation and everything that I typed, and you're gonna see the same results. You're not gonna move forward until you see the same results. Leo, what did I do after this whole thing? Well, now you know what is the high order concept, how to think about that, and how to turn that to code. You're not here to exercise your ability to remember a programming command, like something that how to tell the computer what's the command to display something on the screen. You're here to exercise your ability to recall higher level principles. This is the method, okay? All right, step number 3, adapt. You're gonna deepen your connection to core concepts by using activation exercises. Okay, what are these exercises? They're gonna activate your memory recall. So we use smart repetition. So when we are on step number 3, I have 2 phases, right? I'm gonna use smart repetition to give you some variations of that concept. Let's use our example, display your name on the screen. I'm gonna say, hey, display your name on the screen with a salutation like Mr. Leo or Mrs. I don't know, whoever. So now I'm introducing a new variation on how to do this, and you will learn this variation and apply this variation to what you're doing. However, you're not gonna be doing that on your own. You're gonna be using the smart repetition approach to do this. And then I introduce the activation exercise. What is the activation exercise? It is an exercise designed to bring your memory recall and translate that to code that you can do on your own. So after I presented like, I don't know, 6 or 10 exercises using smart repetition, I will give you a prompt. Display your name on the screen followed by your age. And you're gonna be like, okay, so how do I display my name on the screen? And then how do I display my age? I learned to do this with these exercises. And that's when you start associating those high order concepts with actual code. This is the role for adapt. This is what we do on step number 3. And here I have an explanation of how to do that. Just so you know, on my Coding 21-day system, I have more than 280 activation exercises designed one by one. It took me a long time to make sure that I could design this in a way that you can actually maximize your learning, okay? All right, in step number 3, you're also building the right foundation. And as I put here, you put the bricks in the right order, okay? You take the activation exercises and then you start collecting this information in a way that has like a final goal that you reached, and then you can say, yes, now I understand this concept better, okay? This is the goal for activation exercises. All right, so on the step number 4, mix, we're gonna be, as I was talking in a few minutes, using these activation exercises to mix all the subjects learned so far, all the topics that you learned, okay? So if you have I/O and variables, you're gonna be doing activation exercises specifically tailored for I/O and variables, okay? The real secret here of mix is I will do some smart repetition with you. So I need to show you how to mix these concepts together, and then you need to do it on your own. So now we are expanding that base. So we build a foundation, we expand the foundation. We build the foundation, we expand the foundation. So this is why this method works. These are the 4 steps that allow you to learn to code and learn to code quickly, okay? So there's one last thing on step. There is a right order for you to mix these concepts together. As I told you in the 7 core concepts, we have like this you gotta learn first and this you learn second, etc., etc. Same goes for mix. So what I'm telling here is that for you to learn math operations, you're gonna mix them with basic I/O and variables, okay? So this is the right order for you to do it. And then we have more advanced concepts that you're gonna mix them in a very specific order to maximize your learning and not to waste time. Remember, I took the very essential of these concepts and then I'm presenting it to you in a packaged way, okay? So now we're gonna be talking very briefly about the 4 fundamental programming abstractions, and then they expand the foundation that we built with the 7 core concepts, and they are concepts on themselves. However, I'm approaching them in a different way. I'm using the same method, the same 4 steps. You're gonna learn it the same way. However, I need to give you some more background. Remember, you moved away from the foundation stage. Now you've been promoted, graduated to the expansion stage. Congratulations. So I need to talk about abstractions. And then the key secret for you to advance in your programming journey is this. You need to understand that abstractions are everywhere in computing. You cannot touch software. You only interact with a computer through like a keyboard or a mouse pad or your finger, like you're touching on the screen of your cell phone. This is how you interact with software. You cannot, it's not tangible, you cannot touch it, okay? So you interact with software through abstractions, and abstractions hide the internal details of something. Like in a car, you have the steering wheel, you have the pedals, you have the gear shift. They are ways for you to control the mechanics of the car from inside the car in a very comfortable way. So same goes for software. You gotta have a way to control. Let me move me. Oh, I just realized that I'm in front of the car here, like dude was being distracted. So you must have a way to interact with the program, and you need to understand what is the best way to do that. So let me go back here to the other side. Computers are rich with abstraction, which means that everything in computing is abstraction. So the proper way for you to understand the fundamental programming abstractions is to understand that you're manipulating an end result through mechanisms. So now we just graduated from you are seeing concepts and learning to code to something more complex. Now you are understanding how to apply these concepts to real world problems. So how do you write to a file so that I can open it in Excel? Now you're interacting with an abstraction that is external from the programming language. And I divided these abstractions into 4 main pillars. I'm not going to explain them all here. I also divided them in groups so that you can understand them in a very pedagogical way. However, the real secret sauce here is understanding why do we use these fundamental programming abstractions, and now you know what to ask. Now you know, just take a screenshot again. Let me go to the other direction here so that you see this right side. So now you know what to search online, okay? You know what to search for, and you understand how to advance from the foundation stage to expansion stage, and then the expansion stage onwards. All right, so as I was saying, you use the method to learn these concepts, and that's it for the 4 fundamental programming abstractions, okay? Now I'm gonna show you how to move to the proficiency stage, okay? So if you've been coding and you already understand like how do you create programs, and you are about there, like you've done a few projects, so you feel that you are in this proficiency stage, I have something for you here, okay? This is how we do projects. There is a formula to learn to code, and I call it independent learning with a safety net. So if you follow this workflow here, this flow chart here, you will not get stuck ever, because there's a way for you to address what's going on. This is why, by the way, in the Coding 21 Days community, we have the community, because it helps you to navigate projects using this approach here. I'm not going to explain every step here because it would take me a long time to do so, but the idea is this. You cannot code if you don't know the how and the where. So if I'm asking you to display your name on the screen, you need to understand how to command the computer to display your name. There's a programming language function that does that. And then you need to understand where to place that command line in your code. So there's several lines of code, and then you need to understand, okay, this is gonna go on line number 3. Okay, so you understand how these concepts work together. And then there's a whole process of if you weren't able to make it. So this troubleshoot here is a 5-step process so that you do each step sequentially, and eventually you do this by heart. You do not need me to show you how to do it. Of course, sometimes it still doesn't work. We still get stuck, so you need help. That's why the community is there, okay? So in our community, we have weekly live Q&As. We have these monthly end-to-end projects. So I do live code streaming. So this is how it works. I set a project, and then you are gonna do that project, okay? But Leo, I'm still learning to code. Well, you have 21 days to advance to proficiency, okay? So that you can then start creating projects. After you advance to proficiency, you're gonna start creating the project that I tell you to do. You're not gonna go about online and do some other project. There is an approach for you to do this, and I will still help you with that. After you do these projects, I will, in the end of the month, on the very last day of the month, most likely, I will show you how to solve that problem. And I can show it you in any programming language that you wish, okay? Also, you're gonna post your solution to the community, and I'm gonna review that myself, and I'm gonna give you pointers like what you missed, what's wrong, or just praise you because you did a good job, and then point you towards the next step, okay? This is the Coding 21 Days system. That's what I wanted to show you today. And hopefully you were able to take something from this class. It took me a long time to get to this stage and to be able to condense this information in something like just 30 minutes. And I hope that you follow my channel here. I hope that you subscribe to the email list that's below so that you get reminders of when this class is gonna go live. Remember, you have a full week to to watch this class. Next week, we're gonna have a new one in which we're gonna go deeper in some other topics, okay? Hope to see you next time, and thank you for stopping by.